Hi, and welcome back to LUMOplay's Tuesday tutorial. This week, we're going to be learning how to use the Trails template, and we'll be focusing on the use of the mask overlay in LUMOplay's Motion Maker. Up until now, we haven't done a tutorial that's used a mask, so I'm really excited about this week's tutorial. Also, you may have noticed that I'm not in my usual environment. This is not my natural habitat. This is my brother's spare room. We are having some family things going on, so I've had to come home indefinitely to help out with my family. And that means that I'm going to be on the road a lot. So the next couple of videos are likely going to be things that don't involve me having to be in my lab. I'm really interested in any suggestions that you have for these videos. One of the things I thought I might focus on was just general information about how I started my company, what it's like working for myself, and just advice that I would give to people that are interested in following their passion and making a career out of something that you may be told is too niche. So yeah, if any of that is interesting to you, please leave a comment below. Let me know if that is something that you'd like to see a video about, and I will see you next week from whatever part of the world I happen to be in while I'm helping out. In the meantime, enjoy this tutorial. Please like, share, you know the drill. Any engagement with the video really helps us a lot. So for those of you who aren't aware, LUMOplay is software that runs on Windows, and it works with any projector, and you can use it to create an interactive floor or wall. You can also use it with LEDs and TVs and touchscreens like I'm doing today. So this is a touchscreen that I'm working on. And you can download LUMOplay free from lumoplay.com and try it out yourself. So if you're not sure if this is the right fit for your project, we do have a risk-free trial. I'm going to be using the Motion Maker template called Trails. So that is this template right here. But before I begin, what I'd like to do is just show you the images that I've prepared so that you can see what they look like. So here's the folder, and basically we've been talking about doing a holiday fireplace effect for many years. Every single time Christmas rolls around, we're like, well, we should have a fireplace, but we never remember to make one. So this is going to be what that is. And all I'm using is a background loop video of a fireplace, a PNG mask that is the front of the fireplace. And what this will do is it will keep the interaction inside the fireplace, if that makes sense. You'll see a little bit more what I mean in a second. And then my particles. So I have 3 different spark images. And these are all also PNGs on a transparency. And as you can see, they're just little blurs. They're not anything super detailed or anything like that. They're just, I took a color from the flames and created a little blur with it. The total image size of these is 100 by 100 pixels, but there is a lot of space around the little particle effect. And the reason is because I want these to be fairly spaced out so that they kind of do look like real sparks. So now that you've seen all the graphics, what we're going to do is we're going to create a new Trails effect. So I'm just going to go into the Motion Maker section of LUMOplay Maker and select Trails and click Create. And I'm right away going to give this effect a name. I'm just going to call it Fireplace. And I'm going to go into the overlays. And I'm not adding things like idles. Idles are really good for a call to action. So if you're making an effect and you want to invite people to come and play with it, having, click to start or step here or walk this way, touch this. Those are all really good things to have. But because this is just going to be an ambient experience, I'm not going to be putting in an idle. But I am going to be putting in a mask. So we'll start with that. Go back to the main fireplace folder and then open this. And now I've got this nice little fireplace arch. Now you'll notice that the edges of this are blurry, and that's because I want a little bit of the light from the video to come through. This isn't a video loop itself, and our real fire would have some lighting effects on this outside part. So it's a bit of a cheat to use a transparency this way, but for the purposes of what we're building today, it should work just fine. So the next thing I'm going to do is go into the background and just upload my fireplace video. And this actually has a loop on it of a fireplace crackling. And right now this just has the default particles. So those are not going to be a really good fit. The other thing about the trails effect is it has two kinds of particles. So there's ones that keep moving and there's ones that just appear and stay static. And that's so that when you're creating a trail on the floor, it actually does leave a little trail behind people, as well as create this magical sort of depth overlay effect. We're not going to be using the static particles, so I'm going to skip the animated particles part because that's going to be the bulk of where we work. And I'm just going to go into the static particles. I'm going to get rid of the default particles. I'm going to turn everything down to 0. And then we're just not going to see those particles at all. We're only going to be playing with the animated particles. So I can close this now, go into animated particles. I want all of the particles to rotate on all axes. So not just around in 2D and not in 3D, but both. And what that's going to do is it's going to create a more realistic effect for those little sparks. I'm also going to turn the rotation speed all the way up. I'm going to make the amount spawned as high as possible. I'm going to turn the lifetime down for now, and I'm going to turn the end size down because I want the particles to basically start and end at the size that I created them. I don't want them to grow. I don't want them to get blurry. Same thing with this start size. I'm going to turn that down. Then I'm going to turn the spread pretty much, I don't want it to be all the way up because then it'll just fill the entire area. So I'm going to turn it down a little bit and then we'll play around with it. I'm going to get rid of the default particles and go in and grab the 3 particles that I've made. So I can just hold shift down to select all 3, click open, and then they all appear. And now I can automatically start testing this. So you can kind of see there's already something kind of happening, but I want those to stay on the screen more. I want them to spread out the way that actual sparks would spread. So I'm going to increase the spreads time and also increase the lifetime so they stay on the screen a bit longer. There, that looks a little bit more like a nice smoky, sparky effect. And then I'm actually going to turn the start size up a little bit. So they're going to start a little bit bigger and then shrink down smaller. So that gives me a little bit more of a group of sparks, but they're not too overwhelming and they're not too unrealistic. And that's basically what I'm looking for. It's just something ambient that does react a little bit, but isn't something that is going to be too overwhelming or really, really unrealistic. I'm going to try turning the end size up just a little bit more. There we go. So now they're nice and noticeable, and that's basically all I need. The last thing in this template are the idle particles, and these are just little particles that appear when nobody is interacting. Because my sparks are so tiny, these are not going to be really obvious, so I'm just going to leave them on. I can turn the spawn speed up a little bit and then there'll be a little bit more action. They'll show up a little bit more often, but they're still not going to be incredibly obvious because they're such small particles. I'm really happy with this, so I'm just going to click save. And then I can close Motion Maker and it'll automatically give me my app as well as a thumbnail image. So when I publish it, it will show up with this thumbnail and it'll be easy to find. So I'm going to click publish and it's going to upload the app. All right, when my app is published successfully, it'll give me a little message that says that it's ready and I can click OK. And a few seconds later, this will delete from the drafts folder. We are working on a method that would allow Playmaker users to keep a copy of all of their drafts so that if you are making multiple versions of a draft, you don't have to recreate them from scratch every single time. So we're hoping that that's going to be something that's available in the next couple of months. Now I can go into my apps section, type in fireplace, and launch the app. The first thing it's going to do is download the app, and then once it's downloaded, it will launch. Sometimes when you use a very long video like I have here, it can take a little while for your app to download. There is a total size of, I believe, 1 gigabyte for each one of the apps. So if you're using a very big video, you might have to use less particles. It's important to sort of look at the size of all of the total files that you're uploading, because you will get an error if your file size is a little bit too big. There we go. So this is my app, and when I interact with it, sparks will appear and then they'll slowly vanish, and that's all I really wanted for this. This will be really nice at Christmas time if you want to have a fun fireplace loop somewhere on your interactive wall. I would use this on a TV with a projector, or like a flat screen or a touch screen like this would be the best approach. I hope you enjoyed this week's Tuesday tutorial. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments. If you would like to have me do a tutorial on one of LUMOplay's features, or you want to request a feature, or you have a game idea that you want to share, please reach out at info@lumoplay.com, or again, leave a comment, like, subscribe, engage, you know the drill. I'll see you next week.